Hey guys, let's go ahead and get started. So for what I'd like to try to do on Wednesdays is to have you guys get involved in some kind of discussion, call it a debate, depends on the topic, on something currently going on with the Constitution. Okay, and as you know, today is a big day because we have a new president and vice president that just got sworn in a couple of minutes ago. For the first time in American history, we have a female vice president of the United States. So there's been a lot of constitutional stuff going on. But I want to go back 2 weeks from today. And the issue you're going to take a look at is whether or not President Trump incited a riot and can be held legally liable under the First Amendment. Okay, because that's what a court would use as the is kind of the beginning point of whether or not somebody incites a riot. Okay, so I'm going to go through some preliminary information with you first, and then I'm going to put you guys in breakout rooms. And there's a document I want you to fill out as you discuss this with one another. Okay, and that's on Classroom. So let me show my screen here, and let's see. There we go. And we'll go from here. So I've got 4 files here for you. The one you really need to pay attention to is this one, which is your document on formulating your arguments. So the topic is President Trump's speech at the January 6th White House rally protected under the First Amendment. Okay, so you're going to come up with, you and your group mates are going to come up with some arguments in favor, arguments against, and then tell me what you believe. Okay, there's no right or wrong answer because I think this could go either one way or another. Okay, any questions before we get started? No? Okay, all right. So I've got a Google Slides we're going to take a look at. Okay, let me present this. Okay, so here's what I want you guys to think about for a second. Okay, this is a little bit of review from first quarter. Not a little bit. It is review from first quarter. I want you to put your answer in the chat. So when is speech not protected by the First Amendment? That was something that we went through when we discussed the First Amendment. So you can put in something specific, like if this person does this, then it's not protected. Or you can be more general, like, you know, this kind of speech is not protected. Okay, so put those in the chat. Okay, so I've got when the speech encourages violence, that's correct. When it endangers others, that's correct. When it incites violence and someone is hurt in the process, that is correct. Whenever said speech is the direct cause of the harm of others, yes. When it promotes violence, when it could cause violence, when it is threatening. Okay, so you guys have that. Good, you guys got that down pat. Now, the background information. So whenever there's a court case, you guys are going to study the Supreme Court and the court system in a couple of weeks. Actually, next week, starting next week. But when somebody is accused of something, especially under an amendment, or they're looking for protection by an amendment, the Supreme Court will always look at, not just the Supreme Court, but any court will look at precedent. Okay. It was stare decisis on your midterm, okay? The precedent in this case is going to be Brandenburg versus Ohio. And I want to run over a little bit about what Brandenburg versus Ohio was about. Because I think this is the case. If Trump were to be held criminally liable for inciting a riot, this is what a court would use as the framework for whether or not he should be found guilty or not guilty. Okay. This case was decided by the United States Supreme Court in 1869, and it involved the First Amendment. Okay, a guy named Clarence Brandenburg, who was the Grand Poobah, the Imperial Wizard, I don't know, whatever you want to call him, the head racist in a KKK rally in Hamilton County. So this is local. Okay, so this happened here. in the mid 60s. So at the, the height of the civil rights movement. It was recorded by Channel 5, local Channel 5 for its news broadcast. And they interviewed, or actually they showed this on the news. This guy, Brandenburg, spoke of vengeance against the United States government. And if the government continues to suppress if it continues to suppress the white race. So he was very specific. He said, we're gonna overthrow the government of the United States. And they also announced a march on Washington to take place, okay? Now, under Ohio law, he was convicted of violating the criminal syndicalism law, which is, it made it a crime to advocate the duty, necessity, or propriety of crime, sabotage, or unlawful methods of terrorism as a means of accomplishing industrial or political reform. So basically, advocating overthrowing the government of the United States or the government of Ohio or Hamilton County government was seen as it was a crime under Ohio law. Now, he was convicted and he countersued, claiming that this law infringed upon his right to free speech. And he won, okay? The United States Supreme Court set a new precedent, a new framework under the First Amendment, which it still uses today under this case. So Brandenburg won because he was specific in his speech, but he was not specific about the actions that the people should take. And there wasn't any action taken by the people he was speaking to directly after his speech. So this is what the Supreme Court said. This is a quote from the case, and I think this is the most important thing that you guys need to consider when you're debating this. Okay, under First Amendment, advocacy, and that means promoting violence or overthrow the government, can be punished only where such advocacy is directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action. That means, like, boom, right away. The speaker speaks, and then the people listening take action, and is likely to incite or produce such action. Okay, where the speech will produce imminent lawless action, and it is likely to incite or produce such action. Okay, now, knowing that, what that means is that there has to, somebody says something and then there's immediate action by the crowd because of what the speaker said. Okay, keep that in mind. I'm gonna play for you just a short 2-minute video. I hope you can see this. If not, you'll be able to hear it. This is excerpts from the president's speech from the rally on January 6th. And if you don't know what was going on here, this was in front of the White House. You can see the White House in the background here. The president got tens of thousands of people to come to the White House. These are his supporters that came in from all over the country, and he wanted to fire them up to pressure Congress to not certify the Electoral College vote, which they were counting like 30 minutes after this debate, or after this rally happened. Okay, so I'm going to play this and listen to what the president says. And by the way, the first person speaking is his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani.
Let's have trial by combat on a land of the free. Now it is up to Congress to confront this egregious assault on our democracy. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
Thank you.
Let's have trial by combat.
Okay. So that's what happened. Here's what I'm going to have you guys do. This is your goal, okay? I'll put my screen back up there so you guys can see this. Okay, so your goal, wait a minute, there we go. In your breakout rooms, you're going to determine if the president can be convicted under Brandenburg versus Ohio, okay? And remember, I have that Google Doc there that I want you to pull up. So there's gonna be about 2 other people in your breakout room with you. And then you guys decide whether or not the president should be liable under the First Amendment for inciting a riot, okay? Now, to help you with that, I put a link to description of Brandenburg versus Ohio. And then I also made a doc that has excerpts from the president's speech here. And I took the liberty of editing it down because the whole thing was like 7 or 8 pages. I have it down to, I think, 2 or 3. And the stuff that was deemed and probably would be used in a court of law to determine whether or not he incited a riot, I italicized and bolded there. So you can pull those documents up if you'd like and use that information in your debates here, in your breakout rooms. Okay? Any questions? No? Okay, this is for a grade, by the way, which you probably already knew. Okay, I'm going to make breakout rooms. Let's see one. Okay, I'm going to make 4 breakout rooms. It should automatically put you in those. Okay, make sure you guys talk to each other and figure this out between you.
So are we supposed to go to the thing first?
So on the doc, you just go there and between all of you figure out, okay, reasons why he should be held accountable and then reasons why he should not be held accountable. Okay, and then
So we
sometimes,
just come up with ways together,
yeah,
and then in the end we just come up with our own.
come up with your own.
For the summary, you want it to be like a paragraph or
No, it can be a sentence or 2.
Okay.
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 All right.
Well, I'll get back to the video.
Okay, so let's go through this and figure out if the president can be held accountable for this or not. So I'm going to hand it over to you all, and I want you to explain what your personal views are and why. You can just unmute yourself and start talking.
I guess I'll go first.
Go ahead.
So the reason I think he should be held accountable is because he really encouraged those people to fight. Like originally, when we were reading it, it looked like it was going to be peaceful at first until he said you weren't going to take back the country with weakness. You have to fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. Which basically encouraged them to go down there and do all that crazy stuff in the Capitol building. He didn't have to bring up the fighting part, so like that's where it really like turns on him to be held against, like held accountable. You get what I'm saying?
I do, but I will ask you and everybody to think of what the word fight means.
See, the problem is that there's a lot of people out there who are like obsessed with Trump being the president, meaning that they're going to take his words as literal. They're not going to interpret anything.
And if you're gonna say fight, I feel like you need to at least go in depth on how you want to say, like how you want that to be. Like, say what your definition of fight is when you're telling those people to go fight, because not everybody's gonna take it the same way. There's multiple ways you can take it. Some people may take it literally where they want to go in there and smash windows out, and some people may take it as like a stance of just standing outside the Capitol building. And you saw that there where they were all fighting.
I just want to throw this out there. Nobody has to answer this. I just want to say, do you think that the fact that an overwhelming majority of the people that were at that rally did not storm the Capitol, did not go in and fight? I just want to throw that out there as devil's advocate. Olivia, I think you were about to say something.
I was gonna say that I feel like if he wasn't like encouraging it, he could have like tried to calm the crowd down, but instead he like did kind of incite it by agreeing with him, when I feel like he could have been like, I know it's an injustice to us, but we should remain calm and not do anything out of line. Like I feel like he could have explained, but he didn't.
I don't know. Keith is up on the smart board presidentship stuff, so I don't know.
Sorry, I'm muted. Yeah, and I think that's a good point. Really good point. Does anybody want to make a case that he should not be held accountable for inciting a riot?
The only way that I feel like he might not be able to be like held accountable is back to what we were just talking about, the fight word. Originally, it sounded like he was trying to be peaceful with it.
Okay, here's something to think about. I'll be more specific with my question. What did he say to get people to go down to the Capitol? What did he want them to do?
He used the words like peacefully march and cheer on our leaders or something like that. And
so, Francis, you're right. And I think his thinking was that as these senators and representatives walk into the Capitol building to certify the vote, that they would, cheer them on. And there's a very famous picture of one of the senators from,
any college acceptances?
I forget what, anyway, I can't think of it. I'll post the picture on our webpage. But he raised his fist and was encouraged by the crowd. I think that's what, if you take the president at his word, that's what he was. That's what he wanted to do. Okay. I don't know what the right or wrong answer is. So I'm gonna once again turn it back over to you.
I think an important note is like directly said trial by combat, which really can't be interpreted any other way other than moral. And he didn't never went against that wording. Are you saying something?
So you broke up a little bit, Chris, but you were talking about Rudy Giuliani's trial by combat, right? And how he should be held responsible for that.
Yeah, because if Trump was quick to dismiss that. Even after the violence started, if he was quick to dismiss not only Giuliani's wording, but his wording, then I think it would be a little bit more protected. But the fact that he, when he finally did release, like, a video telling everyone to go home and everything, he was talking as though he was like at gunpoint. He seemed very, there was obviously a script he was reading off. It was very, very much like his lawyers telling him, hey, you have to do this.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Okay, so I need to let you guys go to your next class. So I'm going to end it here. But next week we'll do this. Next week's topic will be, can the president pardon himself? So that'll be another good one. Could be timely as well. That's one thing, you guys, that the president did not do, that people were very surprised before he left office this morning. He did not pardon himself. So he did pardon Lil Wayne, but he did not pardon himself. So we'll leave it at that. And if you guys have any questions, just come into office hours in the morning or send me an email like you always do. Okay.
If I didn't finish this, should I just get it done before?
Yeah, I won't be grading it until more than likely Friday. So you got plenty of time to get it done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, have a nice day. Bye.